If you have ever tried to weather your scale models and making them to look like real tanks instead of a plastic toy, maybe you have experimented how hard weathering can be. So today I bring you 2 effects every scale model needs, and you, as a modeler, will use in every single kit from now. For this, I will show you how I turned out this Panzer IV, from this flat dust finish to a more complex and detailed surface in just 2 steps, starting here and getting this good looking result. This is not a sponsor and welcome to my hobby channel. Let's go for it. First, this time I try to make a shorter video, so you can tell me what type of video length you prefer. You can leave your opinion in the comment section below. So today I will be working entirely with oils. I am very used to work with them, and I think you will do too. Oil paints are very versatile for modeling purposes and very easy to use. Also, we can't forget about they can be corrected and removed if you don't like the result. So first of all, let's prepare the paints. Depending on the brand and type of color, it is recommendable to discard the excess of oil residue. You can see how this oil remnant is present in certain degree in every single oil color. Dealing with it, it's very easy. Just taking some cardboard and cutting it into a small piece allows me to place every single color, and the cardboard will absorb the oily excess, leaving us just the paint completely ready for painting. To work with the Panzer Gray color, I use this sepia tone, rose sienna, Payne's Gray, black oil and white. First basic weathering technique is oil rendering. It consists in applying relatively small amounts of oil colors in the model surface for creating more color variety. So first I take some clean enamel or oil thinner. In horizontal surfaces it's better to work with rounded brushes, and with the clean thinner I apply a thin coat in the surface to work, so this will help me to blend the colors later. Colors should be applied following a random pattern. Or if you want to achieve some specific result, you can place them creating some other different pattern. When blending, it's important to take a clean brush with enamel thinner, but it's better to work only with a moistened brush, so you should soak it up in some paper tissue. Retaking horizontal surfaces, I like to start making rounded movements and blending every single oil color amount each time. Working in this way will create some kind of micro color filters that will improve the model surface, adding more color variation. For example, in that other plate, I will use the same colors but in a different pattern, trying to create heavier contrast between the engine hatch and the rest of the armor plates. In the areas which received more enamel dust effect, I tried to use brownish and sandy oil colors. Here I applied some sepia, rose sienna and white colors, so I can create some more different color variation effect, but this time changing the look of the pre-dusted areas. And you can check how they potentially change the overall look of these spots, so they become more evident and even less flat as before. Now check the differences between the main hull, which has already received the oil rendering, and the turret without oil treatment. When working in vertical and sloped plates, the technique is almost identical. Here I try to use more greyish and dark tones for creating variety in the Panzer Gray camouflage. And I just applied some more black color next to the crew hatches. When working in these vertical plates, I like to use flat brushes of different sizes. These kind of brushes become very useful because they help you to cover more surface at once, so they make you to work faster. The correct way of using them here is to make vertical strokes, representing some pretty basic streaking color variation. Also, for some more selective blending, you can use some rounded brushes too. Finally, as example of the super nice results of this technique, check the summarized process of the top turret weathering. Using the same technique and effects and later blending them, I achieved this super cool effect, and watch the final result once completed. Still some subtle effect, but completely effective and worth it. Complementing all these colors with the previously painted surfaces makes the model to increase its detail and complexity, bringing to every corner some more color contrast and variation. Alright, moving to the second effect. This particular technique can be done either with oil colors or using a specific enamel paint. If you have oil colors, as I do, you can create your own custom washes and use them depending of the main color of your model. In this particular case, as I plan to make an oil pink wash for a Panzer Gray color, I use these 2 oil paints, Burnt Amber and Payne's Gray. The combination of both tones will create a very neutral and just a little bit warm color. Also notice that I didn't need to use black oil in the mix to get a very dark pink wash color. A thin oil mix able to run over the edges and panel lines of the model. When applying an oil wash, our main goals as modelers is to apply a very thin layer of dark color in all the small edges, joints and panel lines. Applying a dark color in those places will create the illusion of a higher depth in the model details. So parts that were not very well defined before will look extremely detailed and crispy. It is important where we should apply this oil wash, because not every corner is suitable. In my case, I like to start with hatches, plates and movable parts. Also, you can apply the effect in small pieces like rivets and bolts, very common in our scale models. When applying the oil wash, due to its low surface tension, I will spread along the surface and distributing around the main details. So in most of cases, the only thing we have to do is to leave the paint in the desired area, and the wash will do its job. Finally, small parts and detail like the tank tools get great looking result just with a simple pin wash. Here, the gun cleaning tools or the side spare track links become super well defined just with this simple technique. As you might have noticed, this technique is far from perfect. In most areas it leaves an excess of paint, not very good for a correct scale model finish. The good thing about using oils is that they are low drying paints, so we have time enough for removing the excess of paint or just blend it in some places, for creating some nice color transitions. When removing the excess, I use clean enamel thinner and a rounded and good pointed brush. This stage will be about removing some paint, but also it is important to be accurate while blending, because we can't remove the whole effect. If not, we'll lose the color contrast. You can see how easy it is to remove the excess, almost immediately. Brush drizzles absorb the excess of paint, and you can control the result very good. In the hardest cases, when the paint is almost dry, you will only need to apply some light pressure with the brush. Sometimes there might be some more difficult parts for removing the excess, like for example this tiny hatch with a lot of details in it. A good trick here is to keep working in every detail little by little, until you see the piece is detailed enough. And we are done for now. Look at the result in the model after applying these two effects. If you compare it with the beginning of the video, there is a big difference. Applying these two simple techniques allows you as a modeler to give the plastic kit an extra punch of detail. At the same time, you get a very realistic result. Of course, these techniques are relevant for using them with other type of models, such airplanes, ships or even terrain in dioramas. Maybe most of you could know these two techniques, but I'm pretty sure they will be extremely useful for those of you who are starting in the hobby. Maybe you will need some practice before getting the best results out of these techniques, but trust me, you will do. So I hope you found this video useful or at least interesting. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one.